Thomas.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
I'm Lucy.
I'm Theo.
I'm Josh.
I'm Scarlett.
And this is the Pick and Mix podcast.
Coming up this episode, Lucy and Alex are talking takeaways.
Matthew is reviewing Doctor Strange with a special guest.
Thomas and Scarlett are talking performing.
And myself and Theo are talking about what annoys us Brits the most.
This podcast was recorded on the first anniversary of the COVID-19 lockdown. So we're going to have our thoughts about the past years.
To be honest, I thought COVID and 2020 was just I want a refund for it, to be honest. We missed out on so much. Like we missed out on education and different things like that. And holidays were cancelled and things. So, yeah, I just want a refund for it.
We also lost just being able to do our hobbies, really. If you like to play sport, then, you can't really. If you liked football, you can't really. If you played for a team, you can't. For me, I haven't played football in months, but my football's starting again, so that'd be good.
Yeah, I had that fear. My football team just stopped playing and I was just ending up playing football in the garden, which is a lot less interesting.
I don't actually have a garden, so I don't really have that option.
That's even worse.
I have a garden.
What did you do in lockdown, Scarlett?
Well, in lockdown, I did some homeschooling. That went a bit bad.
Was it weird not being actually at school?
Yeah.
One thing that went really, really bad for me during 2020 was I had to have 2 more surgeries on my leg, which was trash. Out of 7 that I've already had, so it's quite trash.
Oh, that sounds painful.
It sort of was, but it's all right now. I have to have another one in 6 weeks, so it's a bit trash.
Good luck.
Cheers.
Carrying on from what Alex said, it's been really weird because I went from dancing in the studio with all my friends and stuff to doing it all online. I spent most of lockdown online, whether it's school, dancing, chatting to friends. So I found that really hard.
Joining on to what Theo said, I know I was going to be doing a production of Annie over at the Stephen Joseph, and that was cancelled due to COVID, so that was really weird, going from spending literally every day in the school hall, practicing every day for around a year, just to being at home doing nothing, no rehearsals, no nothing. It was really weird.
It's Front of House with me, Thomas and Scarlett, and an interview with James Aikenley from the YMCA Scarborough. Hi James.
Hello Thomas, are you okay?
Yes, thanks, are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. When did you start theatre?
I used to do it as a child, so I did it when I was younger. I actually attended the YMCA as a child and did lots of shows there. And then I went off to university to study theatre. I studied theatre in York. And then after I finished at university in 2013, I was then asked to come and start directing the shows at the YMCA. So I've been directing since 2013. I also run a theatre school that I also set up during 2013. And then I'm also a singer and a performer as well. So I've kind of been doing it for as long as I can remember, really, right from when I was a child. And I don't really remember the time when it kind of went from being a hobby to being a job. I'm very lucky that I still feel like my job's my hobby now.
That's nice.
Are you part of a family of performers?
Scarlett, what a fantastic question. Well, my mum and dad don't perform. Apparently, my grandparents, my two granddads used to sing. Apparently, so I'm told, when they were younger. My sister's a performer though. She's a singer and a dancer and a performer as well. But it's just me and her who are the performers. My wife, she thinks she can sing. She can sing a bit, but she's not a singer. She sings around the house.
How did you get to where you are now?
These questions are tricky. How did I get to where I am now? Well, like I say, I used to attend the YMCA. So I did lots of shows for quite a few years. I had all the pantomimes, all the summer shows, all the spring shows, everything like that. There was also a youth theatre at the YMCA back then as well, so that's where they kind of more acting things. I also attended a theatre school on a Saturday as well. So that was kind of outside of the YMCA. And then when I was maybe about 16 or 17, when all of my friends from school were getting part-time jobs in cafes and shops and things, I decided I would go and start singing in hotels. So that was my part-time job, and I kept doing that all the way through university. And in fact, while I was at university, I was studying full-time in York, and then I was out performing in hotels all around the north of England every single evening, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday evening. So I've kind of just kept on progressing in that kind of way. And then, as you know, Thomas, I now don't do as much performing, but instead I kind of help younger people with their performing goals, so directing, teaching, passing on my knowledge and my experience to allow younger people like yourself, Thomas, to take the limelight and be on stage and kind of really develop those talents. So that's what I really enjoy to do now. Seeing other people perform is my favourite thing now.
Do you miss being in the shows?
Do you know what? I do sometimes. There's a small part of me when I go to the theatre, whether that's going to see a show at the YMCA that I've maybe even directed, or when I'm going, when finally the theatres reopen and I get to go and see, like a big show, if I'm going to London or whatever. There's a little part of me that sits watching the show and thinks, I wish I was doing that. I wish I still did that. But like I mentioned, Thomas, as much as I really enjoy doing that, I love seeing other people doing that now, young people and young performers. I still get the opportunity to do it occasionally. So I have a show called West End Nights that we tour around theatres, which is all songs from the musicals. So that gives me the opportunity to perform. But I don't do that very often, but it is a real treat when I do.
What was your favourite show to direct at the YMCA?
My favourite show to direct at the YMCA? So I think I've got two. My favourite shows, and I think actually, Thomas, I think they're maybe before your time. My favourite shows to direct were Our House, which is the Madness musical, and that was the first musical that I directed. So I started with the pantomime, and then the next one was a musical. And then my other favourite, so I loved Our House. That had a massive cast. There's like 50 people in it. And the music's all great. It's all Madness music. And then the other show that I really, really enjoyed was Sister Act, and we did that as a summer show one year. And that had a brilliant cast, and it's just a really great musical with really, fab songs in it, and lots of people like Sister Act because obviously they recognise the film, so we had really good audiences. So they're my top favourites. But I think in loads of shows that we've done, there's always little things that I can pick out, either in the show itself or in the rehearsal process that are kind of standout moments. So they might be my top favourites, but every show we've done, there's little things that I can really pull out and think, and that was a really good moment of that show.
What show would you like to direct in the future?
Well, this is exciting. The show that I really wanted to direct, that I really, really wanted to direct was Shrek. Okay. And all the way back in, now let me get this right. What year are we in? 2021. So all the way back in 2019, they announced the rights for Shrek. We were going to be able to perform it. So we applied for the rights. It was kept a great big secret for ages that we were going to perform it the following year in 2020. And obviously last year, as we all know, that didn't happen. So then the show was postponed to this year. And who knows yet if it's going to happen this year? We can't even, we can't be 100% sure because we need big full capacity auditoriums to be able to do a show like this. So it might happen this year, and if it doesn't happen this year, then it's definitely going to happen next year. So it's the show that I've always wanted to direct, and by the time we actually get to do it, it might be like 3 years since we first got the rights, got the permission to put the show on. So that's the one that I'm really looking forward to doing.
Do you have any tips for those people that want to go in your direction? I
think my top tips would be to take every opportunity you can take. So be in as many shows as you can take part in as many classes as you can. Join a dance school, join a theatre school. Like I say, get involved with productions. Obviously, it's really, really hard as a young performer because you're also trying to juggle your schoolwork and stuff like that, which is, of course, just as, if not more important. But equally, if performing arts is your thing, then you've got to make sure that you're keeping that going as well. So I think the more activities you can get yourselves involved with is, the better. And also watch lots of things as well. If you can't go to the theatre in real life, particularly now when they're closed, but even normal times, if you can't go out to the theatre, look up theatre on YouTube or Netflix and all those types of places and watch lots of things and take part in lots of things and be like a sponge. Take as much information and kind of hints and tips from as many people as you can.
Scarlett's got a little joke here.
What? PG tips?
So, what skills do you need for those that want to go in your direction?
Well, of course, I suppose the most simple skills are obviously singing, dancing, and acting. And as well now, you don't just have to be a triple threat, which is singing, dance, and acting. You kind of need to be a quadruple threat, or whatever 5 is. I don't know what. 5 skills. Singing, dancing, acting. It's really quite good if you can play an instrument. And if you can make films as well, then you're onto a winner. Because what happens now is, people want, when casting directors are casting, they want people who can do everything. Because quite often they want less people on set or in the theatre, particularly now at the moment, during COVID times, but even at the best of times, they want less people who can do more things. So I think get as many different kind of talents and learn an instrument and learn to sing, dance, act. And even if you're not an expert at all those things, just a little bit of those things would be really, really good. I mean, Thomas, that I can't dance. And I think, and sometimes, you know what, you were talking earlier about what top tips would you give. I quite often say, I wish I joined dance classes when I was a lot younger, because if I did that, I would then be able to sing, dance, and act. And that, if I had decided to go into performing, it may have, given me better chances. And I can't do that. And it's something that I wish I could do. But so they're your kind of creative skills. But I think you also need to be good at teamwork, working with people as well, because obviously you're always working with people in a cast. So I think they will be the biggest skills that you would need.
Have you learned some new skills in lockdown?
Oh, have I learned some new skills in lockdown? I've learned how to do rehearsals and teach performing arts on Zoom. That's my skill that I've learned. I'm actually a Zoom expert. If you've got any Zoom questions, I'm your man.
Just Zoom them in.
Yeah, it's not like quite juggling or riding a unicycle. It's nothing exciting, but I've learned how to use Zoom. That's my new skill.
Well, thanks for joining us today, James, and I'll see you whenever we can get back to the YMCA.
Hopefully it won't be long. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Scarlett.
Bye.
Bye.
So, that was the interview with James. How did you find that, Scarlett?
I found that very nervous. I was nervous when she came on and I was like, oh no.
Because you don't really know him that much, do you?
Yeah.
Let's just cover some of the things that he said, because some of those questions kind of related to me, because I kind of want to follow in his footsteps, so those tips were helpful. And he definitely helped with my picking my options, saying about the films and stuff. So I was a bit on edge with what to pick with either business studies or iMedia. And then after that interview, I think I'm going to pick iMedia. And learning an instrument, I don't really play instruments.
I used to play the cello.
You used to play the cello?
Yeah.
I could learn how to play an instrument. If we have another lockdown, which fingers crossed we don't, but if we do, I could learn how to play an instrument. So what sort of things did you learn from that interview, Scarlett?
It's great to perform.
It is great to perform. I love it when I'm on stage. It's magical. It's actually magical. Because you performed at the YMCA, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think that was a great interview.
So that was Front of House. Coming up next on the Pick a Mix podcast,
it's Matthew with Movies, Debate and Elaborate.
Hello there, I'm Matthew Davies, and this is Movies, Debate and Elaborate, where me and my guests debate different movies every week. And this episode, I'm joined by music and film journalist Libby Briggs, and we had our debate on Marvel's Doctor Strange. This is how the conversation went.
I'm a film journalist, so I've written for The Independent, for the Film Magazine, and currently writing for Film East. And I mostly review upcoming movies, and I'm a fan of Marvel films pretty much.
So while you are a fan of Marvel films, you don't necessarily like Doctor Strange.
No, I'm not. While I'm a fan of Marvel films, it's mainly because I enjoy the superheroes themselves. I think that the films do sometimes let down a fan's expectation of what the films are going to bring from the comics, and I think that Doctor Strange, as great as a character he is in the comics, the films really did him dirty.
Very fair, but what do you think on the effects they did for the movie?
Well, the effects are great, but you can't rely on effects in a film. Audiences aren't going to a film to watch the effects and say it looks. Of course, obviously, if a film looks good, then it has its benefits, but you can't rely solely on that. You can't have a film with great effects but make the entire plot incredibly boring, because what is there to enjoy then? So
while I do love Doctor Strange, I do have to agree with Libby on the effects side of things, with them definitely trying to hide some of the bad dialogue and bad action through their effects. However, I do disagree with her, saying that it is boring and doesn't really have a character arc, as we do see Doctor Strange go from an arrogant surgeon to a really kind and caring master of magic. And on the next episode, we will be reviewing another film with another guest. But right now on the Pick and Mix podcast, it's Theo and Josh with 5 things that really annoy British people.
Hello, today we're talking about 5 things that really annoy British things the most. Myself and Theo have came up with a few things ourselves. So, hello Theo.
Hi Josh.
You alright?
Yes, thank you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good. So, I hear that you got some ideas for what really annoys British people the most.
Yeah, this one is out of my own opinion, personal opinion, and it's when people barge into a queue and they push in. Like, you've been waiting there for 10 minutes, and then there's some person who would come and push in front of you, and I just don't think it's acceptable.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Why would you push in? You've been waiting there for 10 minutes or so. They just come running in thinking they can just barge in when you've literally been waiting there nice and patiently. Yeah, I can totally see where you're coming from. It's so annoying.
If I waste 10 minutes, then you waste 10 minutes. That's what I'm trying to get across. How about your opinions about what annoy British people the most?
Well, with cups of tea.
Yes.
I saw something on the internet, and it turns out people make their cup of tea this way. They put in the water first, then the milk, then the tea bag, and then the sugar if they're having sugar. That is just wrong.
That is just vile.
I know. How do you make a cup of tea?
I would make a cup of tea. I would put the tea bag in, then a little bit of milk, and then hot water. And I just think that's the right way.
I disagree with you, mate. I must admit, this is how I make my cup of tea. So I'll put the tea bag in first, then I'll put my water in, then the milk, mix it around, then take the tea bag out. If I'm having sugar, put the sugar in, or if I'm having sweetener, I put the sweetener in. I mix that so it's spreads around the tea, and then you can drink it.
No, I'm not sure about that one. I've also got a fun fact about tea. Scientists prove that you should leave the tea bag in for 2 minutes.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
No, I don't, honestly. I saw that and I was like, is that true? But not sure.
Well, you're supposed to leave it brewing for at least a minute and a half. If you don't do it, it's not a proper... Yeah.
Oh.
You're supposed to leave it brewing, otherwise it's not a proper cup of tea. It's just a half cup of tea.
Oh, I always keep my tea bag in for like 20 seconds and then it's done.
No, it hasn't brewed properly yet, mate. So I've got a idea for like tea. This really winds me up. My brother does that all the time. He gets like a biscuit. So say if you're dunking biscuits in your tea, that's acceptable. That's what I.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then he dunks it in, leaves it in for like 5-10 seconds, leaves it, takes it out, waits for it to drop, and lets the biscuit sink to the bottom.
Just no. I have no other word from no. If you've got like an orange juice with bits in it, then that's basically your tea, yet the tea is just hot water.
Yeah, it's just wrong. Like, you've got all that sludge in the bottom of the tea. Like,
yeah.
It just ruins your tea.
You're just drinking a tea, like, really nicely, and then you've just got this rock-solid biscuit.
I know. Especially if you've got, like, a custard cream. So if you're dunking one of those, that's, like, absolutely amazing when you dunk a custard cream into a cup of tea.
Oh, I've never tried that myself.
You're missing out. You should definitely try it. So
yeah, I'll try that later.
Dunk it in and leave it for, like, 2-3 seconds. Don't let it drop and eat it. It is literally... The cream inside it just melts and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
So what's your other idea?
This is actually one I got off my sister. When she's at school, in her classroom, the person in front of her opens the door and then doesn't leave it open for her. And she always comes home and complains about it. And then it's just like really annoying when like, every day.
Yeah, especially like they've just opened the door. You might as well just like hold it open for the next person, and then and then that person can hold it open for the next person, and it should just go like that.
I understand what my sister's saying because that sometimes happens to me at my school.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating. Like you would walk and like they would slam the door in your face. You walk into the door, you get fuming, but then you hold it open for the next person. I can totally understand. Like. It's so frustrating.
And for our fifth and final point is from me again. I hate it when somebody has like bad manners. So if someone does like a bad thing to you and they don't say sorry, I just think that I just don't know what to say to that.
It's just bad. Like it's just so bad. Like if you don't say sorry for something that you've done wrong and you know you've done it wrong, it's just the worst.
Like, that's just rude. Like get better manners.
I know. Like boy, just get better manners.
Yeah. Well, I think this concludes our talk. We will see you in the next one.
Coming next on the Pick and Mix podcast, it's Lucy and Alex talking takeaways.
Hello, I'm Alex.
I'm Lucy.
And today we're doing takeaway talks where we discuss 1, what is our favourite takeaway, 2, what Google has to say about the favourite takeaway and why, and finally, what other people think about their favourite takeaway and why. Do you want to get started, Lucy?
So we looked at a website on Google and they showed that Chinese was the most popular by 25%, which was followed shortly by Indian and then fish and chips. I was confused because 13% of people said that they didn't have takeaways, which really surprised me.
Me too, especially with the pandemic. Like, I could have sworn we're having takeaways like every week at least. I'm quite surprised. I don't really like Chinese. I wouldn't have said that would be the top one.
Chinese is quite a common one.
There's a lot of Chinese takeaways around here when you think about it. I think I'm a fish and chip kind of person. Or maybe an Italian, which are very different, but still.
See, I'm not. I'm more of a McDonald's. Although it's basic, you can't go wrong with chicken nuggets.
Well, unless they get your order wrong, and then you can't really go wrong.
Chicken nuggets and chips and a Diet Coke.
It sounds like a quality meal, to be fair. I think I would have to go with either Big Mac, maybe an Italian after that. I can't decide which one. If someone gave me the option, I'd be stuck in the middle.
I'd be the same, because we've got a new Mediterranean takeaway, which is currently my favourite. I'm working through the menu.
Oh, like one meal at a time? That's going to take some time.
No, I like, because it's all pasta, burger, pizza and all that, I just choose different things every time.
Oh, I've just had this image of you sat like with an entire table of different takeaways. I mean, fair enough, whatever works best for you. But we also consulted social media and asked all our friends on what they thought the favourite takeaway was, and there were some mixed results, to be fair, and especially the reasons why. Personally, I base my favourite takeaway off how it tastes, but someone here has said Indian because Gavin and Stacey in it.
A lot of mine popped up and a lot of my friends popped up and said it just depends on the night, but usually a Chinese. That was the most popular out of my friends.
Yeah, I had a lot of Chinese, especially because people said it makes a nice change from cooking and it's quick and easy to sort out.
Mm-hmm.
Valid point, especially after like a long day at work.
Yeah, especially if you just want to sit and relax.
Yeah, but there was some nice ones, like people did say Italian because it reminds them of when they were used to be able to go to Italian restaurants, which is quite sad because that must have been since about August last time I went to a restaurant. I think I forgot what to do.
My second most popular was people saying that they wanted kebabs.
Oh, I didn't have anyone say that.
See, mine was Chinese, kebabs, pizza, Indian, then fish and chips.
Fish and chips last again? Oh,
yeah.
I need to have some words with with all these people. It's controversial. Are fish and chips not popular? I don't like fish and chips.
That survey we looked at showed that the older generation preferred fish and chips.
All right, no need to call me old. I'm only a couple of years older. Can't go wrong. You know that what's that saying? Fish and chips on a cold night on the seafront? Yeah, people say that, right?
I've never heard that.
Never heard that? Never had fish and chips on a cold night in Scarborough?
Well, yeah, I've had them, but I've never heard the saying.
It's just what you say, isn't it? Okay, never mind. I must be mistaken. But also, and this was quite surprising, some like 3 or 4 people said sushi.
I had no one say sushi, but I quite like sushi to be honest.
I've never had it. Is that bad?
No, I've only had it a few times, but I only had it to try it.
And was it good?
It was weird, but it was very nice to be honest. But it's not something I'd have as an actual meal. It's more of a snack that you'd have.
Weird but nice, but you wouldn't have it for a meal, but you'd have it for a snack. Okay, perfect. That makes sense. Yeah. But also, something we haven't considered before is like the best night to have a takeaway and why. What would you say?
Personally, I believe that the best night to have a takeaway would be a Saturday. Only because you have time to watch a movie or a TV show or something.
Ant and Dec. Are you thinking of Ant and Dec? Because I am. Yeah, can't go wrong with Saturday night takeaway because clues in the name.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see the appeal of Friday night. You know, when you just finish work and it's like the weekend and you really can't be bothered to do anything. Then again,
Friday or Saturday, getting into the weekend.
Saying that, we have a fish and chip van that pulls up outside our house on a Wednesday.
Oh, we've got one of them on a Tuesday.
Is it the same one? Is it Alleyways?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Do you go for it, bro, on a Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah. It pulls up and I'm like, it's literally outside our window. So I'm like, fish and chips outside, Mum. She's like, no, we're having pasta. And I'm like, are you sure? I mean, you can like the smell waft through the house and we're like, and there's a massive queue and I'm like, go on, let's have fish and chips. Why not?
See, I only live around the corner from there, but it still drives past our house and parks outside, so it's quite tempting.
You've got multiple options, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for Takeaway Talks. Be sure to tune in next week. Thank you.
So that's nearly it for episode 1 of the Pick and Mix podcast.
But before we finish, it's the Easter holidays, so let's find out what everyone's up to.
Well, I'm looking forward to actually seeing my nan. I haven't seen her in like a year or so, so it's going to be quite good. And we also get our Christmas presents that we never actually got to get because we couldn't see them. So I'm looking forward to eating a lot of chocolate and seeing my grandparents.
Imagine getting Christmas presents at this time of the year.
And
I'm so jealous. It's like a second Christmas.
And with it being chocolate as well, you just can't go wrong with chocolate.
I like chocolate.
My dad doesn't really like chocolate though.
Same, my dad doesn't like chocolate at all.
The only chocolate that he does like is white chocolate, which isn't actually chocolate.
I love white chocolate.
It's not chocolate though.
It's called white chocolate. I'm so confused.
Josh, I completely agree with your dad. I don't actually like chocolate except for white chocolate.
That's not chocolate.
Why not?
I love chocolate.
I don't really like like chocolate that much.
I know for me this Easter, during the holidays, I'm going to actually be able to go off to where I volunteer because it's going to be open for a little project we're doing for hunger and helping families that have maybe been furloughed and stuff. So it's going to be nice being able to go over and see everyone there. I know that's going to be fun. I'm
going back to work on Monday, and I've never thought that I'd ever say this, but I'm excited to go back.
That's a bold statement. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that.
I never thought I would say it.
Some people might get excited to go to work. It depends what job you have.
My dad's looking forward to going to work. He's a driving instructor, so he's quite looking forward to teaching his pupils again.
I'm looking forward to maybe meeting up with Thomas and have a little catch up.
I'm looking forward to not going to school and being able to sleep more. Like, I'm literally nearly asleep now.
I'm looking forward to, my football training team is, I think it's starting up again, so I'm looking forward to that.
After today's podcast, I think I'm looking forward to some fish and chips, I can't lie. Maybe even on the seafront if I'm feeling like it.
When it's cold.
Obviously, yes, can't forget that bit.
Thank you for listening to the Pick and Mix podcast, episode 1.
Please follow the Pick and Mix podcast on social media.
And, more importantly, let me know if a saying fish and chips on a cold, windy night is actually a thing, or did I just make it up?
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Join us next week for episode 2.
It's goodbye from me, Josh, Thomas, Lucy and Alex.
And goodbye from me, Theo, Scarlett and Matthew.